Have you ever stopped to think about the golden age of comics? We're talking about the late 1930s and early 1940s, a time when superheroes exploded into popular culture. You had Superman, the alien powerhouse from another planet. You had Batman, the dark, brooding detective of Gotham. These guys were everywhere, defining what it meant to be a hero. But amidst this sea of caped crusaders and masked vigilantes, there was a glaring absence. Where was the leading lady? Where was the female hero who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the giants of the industry? The world was desperate for one, even if it didn't fully realize it yet. Then, in December 1941, everything changed. Tucked away in the pages of All-Star Comics issue number 8, a new hero made her debut. She wasn't a sidekick or a love interest. She was a force of nature, a princess from a hidden island, and her name was Wonder Woman. This wasn't just another character. It was a revolution in print, a groundbreaking moment that would forever alter the landscape of comics and popular culture. The mind behind this revolutionary hero was as fascinating as the character herself. His name was William Moulton Marston, a psychologist, inventor, and a man with some seriously progressive ideas for his time. Marston wasn't just looking to create a girl's Superman. He had a much grander, more profound vision. He believed that the world was suffering from what he called blood-curdling masculinity. He saw aggression and violence as the root of society's problems, and believed the future lay in embracing qualities traditionally seen as feminine: love, compassion, and tenderness. Marston wanted to create a new type of hero, one who triumphed not with brute force or bigger fists, but with love and persuasion. He envisioned a character who would be a symbol of a new era of female leadership, a true feminist icon designed to inspire young girls and show them that they possessed a strength far greater than physical power. His goal was to teach readers that submitting to a loving authority could be a joyous and liberating experience, a stark contrast to the dominant narrative of conquest and control. Now, Marston's original concept for Wonder Woman was, to put it mildly, pretty radical for the 1940s. He infused his early scripts with complex psychological themes, most notably his theory of loving submission. He imagined a hero who would use her lasso of truth, not just to compel honesty, but to teach her enemies the joys of submitting to compassion and love. It was a deeply psychological form of warfare, where the goal wasn't to defeat an opponent, but to reform them. This version of the character was deeply intertwined with Marston's personal philosophies and his unconventional lifestyle. He believed that this form of psychological persuasion was the key to a more peaceful world. However, when he presented these ideas, you can imagine the reaction. The publishers at what would become DC Comics were, well, a little nervous. The themes were unconventional, abstract, and carried undertones that were seen as far too risky for a mainstream comic book aimed at children. They needed a character that was more immediately understandable, more palatable. So, a compromise was reached. The core of Marston's vision remained, but it was reshaped. Wonder Woman became less of a psychological reformer and more of a warrior for peace and justice. Her mission was simplified. She was an emissary from Paradise Island, a utopian society of Amazon women, sent to the world of men to fight for equality, peace, and an end to war. This version retained her strength and compassion but framed it in a more traditional heroic narrative. So why were the publishers at DC Comics so hesitant? You have to remember the context of the 1940s. The comic book industry was overwhelmingly male-dominated, from the creators to the executives to the perceived audience. The prevailing wisdom was that boys bought comics, and boys wanted to read about strong male heroes punching villains. The idea of a female character leading her own title, one who was explicitly a feminist icon, and preached a philosophy of love and compassion, was seen as a massive commercial risk. Marston's unconventional themes of loving submission and psychological persuasion were the biggest red flags. They were seen as bizarre and potentially controversial, something that could alienate their core readership and attract negative attention. There was a genuine fear that a character this different, this philosophically driven, simply wouldn't sell. They were in the business of selling comics, not promoting complex psychological theories. It took a lot of conviction from Marston and his editor, Sheldon Meyer, to even get her a tryout appearance. They were betting against the entire industry's conventional wisdom, but that bet paid off spectacularly. The final published version of Wonder Woman, this incredible blend of a powerful warrior and a compassionate diplomat, struck a chord with the public in a way no one could have predicted. She was an instant success. Readers, both boys and girls, were captivated by this hero who was as strong as Superman but wielded a message of peace and equality. She wasn't just another punch-first hero. She was a symbol of hope, a beacon of a better way. Her origin story, hailing from an all-female utopian society, added a layer of mythic grandeur that set her apart. Over the decades, while her stories and costumes have evolved, that core essence has remained. Her legacy isn't just about super strength or indestructible bracelets. It's a legacy of compassion, a fight for justice, and an unwavering belief in the power of truth and love. She proved that a hero could be both fierce and kind, a warrior and a peacemaker. By blending these qualities, Wonder Woman not only captured the imagination of millions, but also carved out a permanent place for herself in the pantheon of heroes. becoming one of the most enduring, beloved, and truly important superheroes in history. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from comic book history.